Jesus. Jesus.
Welcome on in here to another edition of First Pitch, the Wednesday edition, the post 4th of July edition. Hope you had a terrific 4th, and with not so many day games, we get to be live with you here on the WagerTalk TV YouTube channel. I'm your host, Dan Alexander, over the next 30, 45 minutes, and with me, I got the boys, Rob Vino, Tokyo Brandon, and Bryan Power. How, for my first show, did I get so lucky to have this all-star crew with me? We're going to kick it off right away with Rob Vino. He's got a big game breakdown. Rob, the Mets have just owned the matchup against the Diamondbacks as of late. 14-3 straight up, 4-1 straight up in their last 5 in Arizona. But I say we just forget the full game, right, Rob? And we take a little look towards the first 5. What are we thinking?
I think that's what we'll do, Dan. That's a good thought. Let's start right there. I'm going to use first 5 money line. Diamondbacks lay 10 cents in this one behind Tommy Henry against Kodai Senga for the New York Mets. Going to go through a couple of probably what I would call non-box score advantages, I think, here, Dan, and stuff that maybe isn't generally looked at, but I think there's a couple here that favor Arizona tonight. Let's start with the fact that Ketel Marte is likely to be back in the lineup, was held out last night for a day off. Certainly, he's been red hot. His month of June, 315 batting average, 372 on base, 514 slugging, 886 OPS. Rivaled his teammate Corbin Carroll for tops in the National League over a few of those categories. So with Marte back in, a little more offense for this team. And then the second guy, Gabriel Moreno, the catcher here tonight. Back behind the plate, makes a difference offensively. Obviously more of a spark than Carson Kelly, who's been hurt most of the year, still feeling his way back. But I think the defensive end, and we saw it in the 8th inning last night in this game, is what counts more here. Gabriel Moreno, certainly the better defensive catcher than is Carson Kelly when it comes to throwing out base stealers. The reason why it's important here is because the Mets lead the league in stolen base effectiveness. They 91% of the time they've chosen to steal, they've been safe. They rank, I think, top 6, top 7 in total stolen bases. And, you know, there's an article in the New York Post a couple days ago where their first base coach, Wayne Kirby, talked about their penchant for running and especially turning up the dial even more here as the season continues on. Mets steal 4 bases last night, go 4 for 4. Gabriel Moreno, so far this year as a catcher, has thrown out 48% of the base runners who have tried to steal against him. That's huge when you're a catcher to be anywhere near 50%. Carson Kelly, on the other hand, hasn't thrown out a base runner yet. 13 tries, 13 successes against him. So you have to like Moreno against the team that wants to run. And if I factor in the pitcher-catcher combo here, because I went a little deep on this with Tommy Henry, the opponent has had 100 chances to steal against him, opportunities, either a guy on first or second with a chance to steal the base ahead of him. And only 5 times have they done it this year against Tommy Henry. So he holds them close. Of the 5, 3 have been safe. I don't know if the Mets will be able to find the advantages running the bases here tonight against Arizona. And it's a huge part of the Met game right now. So we'll look for that to be a reason to favor Arizona a little bit here. Another reason that I like a lot is the Diamondbacks have been fast starters all season long. Their first 5 inning numbers, which is where we're going here, they have 49 wins in the first 5 innings so far this season. And if you go to just at home, first 5 run line, and we're only playing money line here because it's 10 cents. It's cheap enough to play money line, and we'll accept the tie and get our money back if we have to. We'd rather win. But against the run line this year, they're 26-19 first 5, 58% cover rate. That's number 5 in Major League Baseball. The Mets are the exact opposite on the road, 19-26, only 42.2. So we like the fact that the Diamondbacks have been fast starters all season long. The Mets have been a little bit of a slow starter. Tommy Henry's last 3 starts have been good. They've all been quality. 18 in the 3rd innings pitched, 1.96 ERA. He's in really good form right now. Kodai Senga for the Mets. Not bad form, just difference between home and road. His split numbers are pretty significant. At home, 2.64 ERA. On the road, 4.58. At home, 1.13 WHIP. On the road, 1.61. At home, 283 opponents batting average, but on the road, 351. So not as good on the road for Senga. I think that Arizona probably gets to him with their full lineup intact here tonight. So we're going to look first 5 innings here, Dan, for the home team, Arizona, money line, lay 110.
We're going to favor Arizona, but only in the first 5. Rob says, what, those trends for full game? Let them be damned. Give me the Diamondbacks in the first 5. I love it, Rob. And Brandon, Tokyo Brandon, joining us here on the show. You and Brian Power were talking a little bit about the Yakult Swallows before you were coming on the show here today, but no Swallows breakdowns for our show. You do have a play in the Nationals and Reds game. Look, it was an easy over yesterday, but now the Nats looking to avoid that sweep against the NL Central leading Reds. How's Tokyo Brandon going to be betting this one?
Yeah, here's a free play in Japanese baseball. Fade the Swallows tonight. So on to the Cincinnati Reds Washington Nationals game. We've got the 2 starting pitchers who are not in great form. Actually, Josiah Gray's in better form than Ashcraft. Ashcraft had a really good start to the season. He's fallen off. He's given 10 spots to people, 7 spots to people. He's giving out runs like party favors. Josiah Gray's been actually pretty good lately, but if you break it down, these 2 teams on the season, if you just look straight at how many runs they're scoring, they should put up 9 here easily with average pitching. But this is not average pitching. This is sub-average pitching, as I'd like to say. And I used to be a baseball scout, and we have a saying that bad is a lot more consistent than good. And what that means is sometimes you'll have a good pitcher, even a Nolan Ryan kind of pitcher, he'll have a bad game and people don't really get surprised. But when a bad pitcher like Corbin or Ashcraft come in and pitch a gem, people get surprised because bad is usually really bad and good can be bad sometimes. That's kind of a weird way of saying it. But in essence, bad is a lot more consistent than good. And these 2 pitchers are bad. These 2 bullpens are bad. And I went a little deeper and I looked at Ashcraft and Gray, and they only average 5.2 to 5.5 innings per outing, which means these 2 bullpens are horrendous. I have Washington's bullpen ranked 21 out of 30 teams, and I have Cincinnati's bullpen ranked 25 out of 30 teams. And I think we'll see the bullpens early in this one because neither one of these pitchers go late in the game. The total is 9.5, which is pretty high. But my projection has this going over 10 quite easily. And you get a 4-4 tie, you go into extra innings, they'll each score a run and win this for you. So anytime I see 2 terrible pitchers and 2 terrible bullpens, one lineup who can really crush it, which is Cincinnati. Cincinnati in the last 10 days, their lineup collective WOBA is 6 out of 30, which is really good. Washington not so high. But I think against this tomato can, as we would call Ashcraft, I think they can put up some runs as well and match it. Like I said, with just average pitching, these teams should score 9, and this is below average pitching with very below average bullpens. So the way I'm breaking this down is I just like the over in this one. They could make it 10.5. I'd probably go, no, 10.5 would be a little steep, but at 9.5, I feel good about this going over. So that's actually my free play for today. Put a small percent on the over in this game because I have a feeling we'll see fireworks just like we saw yesterday.
Tomato can, A little Charmin soft pitching action from my man Tokyo Brandon. Check him out, wt.buzz/TB. Brian Power, look, I actually wanted to hear your big game breakdown on the Orioles and Yankees first, and then I got a slack from Joe Ranieri that said, no, Brian Power has to go last. So I'm sorry about that, buddy. I'll try and make some changes around here. But before we get into it, I'm just wondering, I've been refreshing Twitter. I'm trying to see if we've gotten anything official from the Baltimore Orioles because I just keep seeing, a lot of buzz about 23-year-old outfielder Colton Cowser potentially, meeting with the team here and joining up with them. I'm not sure if he would be in the lineup this quick, getting the call up right away. But have you seen any more news on that? And regardless, does it factor into your big game breakdown on the Orioles and Yankees game?
It actually doesn't, Dan. What I'm looking at here is a Baltimore Orioles team that I've kind of been waiting for to regress, and I think we're finally starting to see that. So as you know, I'm sure as a lot of the viewers know, Baltimore has not been swept in a series all season, but I think they may be heading there after dropping the first two of this 4-game series with the Yankees. They lose 6-3 and 8-4 the first 2 games, and they've dropped 6 of 7 now, have the O's. They've only scored 18 runs during that stretch, and 7 of those came in 1 game, lost, by the way. And the one win in the last 7 games that Baltimore's had, guys, it was on Sunday when they avoided a sweep against Minnesota. But no, they were down 1-0 going into the bottom of the 8th in that game. So it very nearly is 7 straight losses coming into today. And then the Yankees, you look at them, obviously, for a while there, we were all talking about the struggles without Aaron Judge, Dan, but they've seemingly turned a corner. They've gone 9-5 the last 14 games, have the Yanks. And they're scoring again, oh, by the way, 5 or more runs in 6 of the last 9 games. Harrison Bader, he's been the spark plug so far in this series. 3-run homer on Monday, 2-run double last night. We all know about the importance of Judge. I'm not saying Bader's at the same level, but it's worth noting the Yankees are 27-12 when he's in the lineup this year. So that is something worth noting. Certainly we know he'll be in the lineup. And you look at the pitching matchup. Dean Kramer's someone I'm looking to fade straight up moving forward. He's allowed 10 runs over his last 10 innings. That spans 2 starts. The team is 11-6 overall with him on the mound, but that seems a little fortunate when you can factor in a 5.04 ERA, a 1.41 WHIP. Those numbers obviously not good, nor is Kramer's 5.61 career ERA against the Yankees. So I think Baltimore's not going to get a good start here. On the flip side, Vasquez, it's just his 3rd big league start for the Yankees. But I talked about those recent struggles for Baltimore at the plate. I think we're going to see out of Vasquez what we've seen so far in his first 2 starts. He's only allowed 2 runs in 10 1/3 innings. I have the Yankees rated as the better team overall here, so I love the price on them as they make it 3 in a row over Baltimore on Wednesday night.
I love it. And also, ask and you shall receive, right? As you're giving that breakdown, MLB just tweeted, Birdland welcomes yet another rookie to its ranks. Colton Cowser, the number 14th overall prospect in the MLB pipeline, is joining the Orioles. And man, talk about a farm system that the Orioles have worked up. We'll see if it makes any difference tonight. Brian Power is hoping that it doesn't. The nice even money price on the New York Yankees. That's the big game breakdown there. Before we get to our best bets, want to remind you that 4th of July special is ending tonight at midnight, just $10 a day. Actually, do the math, less than $10 a day. 7-day all access. Get it for just $69. Check that out, wt.buzz/deals. All right, Rob, coming back around the horn right to you. It's Sandoval versus Lugo to end the 3-game set between the LA Angels and San Diego Padres. And I don't know if you're going total, if you're going side, but can anything else go wrong for the Angels? I mean, I think we just heard another player heading to the IR, and the game hasn't even started. So it's been a rough little stretch for them here in yesterday's game, losing Ohtani, and losing Rendon as well. So how are we betting this game? And you have any sad feels for our Angels as the players just continue to drop?
Yeah, and I think, as baseball fans in general, you want to see the Angels find their way to the playoffs one of these years, but it just doesn't ever seem to be in the cards for them. Pretty decent start this year, decent chance, and all of a sudden within 2 days, you lose your number 2, your number 3, and your number 4 hitters. Truth be told, when we prepped for this show, one of the first things I bet overnight was under 9 runs in this game. It's since gone down to 8.5 as we speak right now. So I'm going to give the viewers a couple of ways because I played this game multiple ways. I mean, it seems like low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit doesn't always get you paid, but you have to take advantage of it when it's presented to you. And here's what we'll try, Dan. Here's a couple of the things that we need to look at here. First of all, I mean, the obvious, the 3 guys that are out, the heart of the order. With Trout, you lose 18 home runs, 44 RBIs. With Ohtani, 31 and 68. With Rendon, 2 and 22. It's a total of 51 home runs and 134 RBIs missing from this lineup tonight. There's 3 of the top 4 on-base percentages. on the Angels roster right now, if you just disregard guys with like 20 or less at bats, there's a couple of them stuck in there, but all three of these guys are on base 36.1% of the time or better. So they're just huge losses. The lineup has to be completely reshuffled going up against Seth Lugo, ex-New York Met here, who actually has been good recently. His current form is pretty strong, and Seth Lugo's a good pitcher. No question about it. He's kind of bounced from reliever to starter, but now in a starting role here. Last three starts covers 16 full innings, 2.25 ERA, 1.00 WHIP. He's only allowed one home run in those 16 innings. He struck out 15 and only walked one. 15-1 strikeout to walk ratios are hard to find, even though this is a very small current 3-game sample size. But if you're going to keep the ball in the park, only allow one home run, you're not going to give anything away for free, only one walk, then you're doing your job as a pitcher. The other side of this coin, as we look to play under 8.5 now, is Patrick Sandoval, who kind of has reverse splits here. He's been better on the road than he has at home. At home, 1-4 with a 5.4 ERA, and teams hitting .303 against him at home in Anaheim. However, on the road, that ERA goes all the way down to 3.76. That's a 1.64 to the better increase for him. And the batting average against goes down to 238. That's 65 points less than it is at home. So Sandoval, who's basically a 5-inning pitcher, has been better on the road than he has at home. Let's look at this. This was interesting to me. He's had 8 road starts. 4 times the total went over what the asking price is tonight, 8.5. 4 times his road starts have gone over. 4 times they've gone under 8.5. However, in 3 of the 4 that went over, it was the Angels that did a lot of the offensive damage. Scored 13, 6, and 4. Tonight's lineup doesn't figure to even get you to 4. I mean, the odds makers have their team total posted at 3.5 to the under. So if Sandoval had the lineup he's going to have behind him tonight, he'd probably be 7-1 to the under on the road right now rather than 4-4. I think that's a little bit interesting here. I think if you want to make an additional bet, and I said I would give the viewers a couple of ways, I think under 3.5 for Angel team total could be a good way to look. Obviously, I just cited what Lugo has done recently. Contained offenses should contain this one. And the Padre bullpen has been good as well. If we're looking full game total for both of these sides, we got to look toward the Angels bullpen arms. And interesting to note, most of them are available here. I think there's only 1 or 2 exceptions, and I don't think it makes that big of a difference, especially considering the fact that if San Diego wins this game, they won't hit in the 9th inning. But the Anaheim bullpen, the LA Angel bullpen is top 10 in ERA, and they're number 1 in home run percentage allowed. They just don't give up the long ball. So late in this game, you might not get any cheap solo home runs to hurt you where total is concerned. I think 8.5 is still worth a play under, not as strong as it was at 9. And I also think Angels team total under 3.5. Hey, the Padres need something to kickstart this team. They've gotten, I think, 2 under their belt here in this series already after a horrendous road trip. And maybe a 3-game sweep gets them going. So I like this one under 8.5 full game. And I think Angels team total under 3.5 is another way to look.
It was under 9 when Robbie Vino bet it last night. That's why we always say grab that all access so you can get on side of those line moves as well. That's my man Rob Vino going under the 8.5. LA Angels, San Diego Padres. Tokyo Brandon, last night, man, the Braves 9-game winning streak finally came to an end yesterday in Cleveland. That just mean as they face off again, we just sweep right back in and say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They got them once. Did the Braves bounce back tonight?
Yeah, I was really fortunate, speaking of the Angels, to win my Angels team total yesterday. I had them over 3.5, and with Trout going out in the 4th inning and then Ohtani exiting, I was like,
sweaty.
4 runs in the 9th inning kind of helped my bet get over the hump there. But yeah, who knows if the Angels will be so lucky today. Speaking of the Braves and Guardians, yeah, the Braves got kicked, and not often you see a team this good go down. We got a rubber match today, so today's winner decides the series. Look, the Braves are hitting better than pretty much anyone else. I mean, they're just on fire. And I mean, this is a World Series caliber roster that they have, and the only reason you're getting a good line with the Braves today is because Soroka's on the mound. Soroka is kind of a wild card. He's kind of a question mark because the last time anyone saw him do anything was before the pandemic in 2019. He did have great stats back then, but that was kind of a long time ago. He did have a 2.68 ERA and 170 innings pitched. So he was great. But since he's come back this season, he's given up quite a few runs in his starts. One of those was to the Oakland A's. I'll let that pass because that was his first start back in a couple of years. And then the other two games, he gave up 5-4 to some decent teams. So not quite sure what we're going to get with Soroka. He's the wild card of this equation. But like I said earlier, bad is more consistent than good. And Quantrill is just bad. So what we can count on is the Braves to score some runs in this game. How bad is Cal Quantrill? Well, he gives up a lot of runs, and his WHIP is 1.5 in a ton of starts. He rarely makes it out without giving up 3 or more runs, and he's just bad overall. And I think the Braves are going to tag him pretty good here. And when you have such a good lineup, their team total is 5.5, which is pretty rich. It's pretty hard to put your money on a team betting 6 or a team to score 6. But they do have the second best lineup in the last 10 days as far as run production is concerned. But what I really like about this matchup is they have the better bullpen as well. I don't think Soroka will go long. I don't think Quantrill will go long either. I think both of these pitchers will be out by the 5th or 6th inning. The Braves in the last 10 days, their bullpen ranks 7 in MLB, where Cleveland ranks 11. But what's nicer to look at is just, anyone can look up this stat, but I mean, runs scored, the Braves 479, the Guardians 344. I mean, really? Home runs, the Braves 163, the Guardians 56. So they have 113 more home runs. They have more than 150 more runs. I mean, this to me screams mismatch all over the place. And if yes, Soroka is the wild card here, but the Braves run production is not a wild card, and the Braves bullpen being much better than the Guardians also is not a wild card. And I think this was 150, 160 in that range. I think that's a take. And if you are uncomfortable with going anything past 160, you could lay the 1.5. But when I put this bet down, I think it was minus 155 for the Braves, and I'm comfortable laying minus 155. I'm comfortable laying anything up to minus 170 here with the Braves. I think they take care of business. It's a rubber match game. They need the win to win the series. They have the better bullpen. They have the better run production. So I'm all over the Braves here. If it goes past 170 or so, you could lay the 1.5, being that the Braves are on the road. It's always good to take a road team if you're going to lay the run line because they're guaranteed 9 innings of at-bats. So I like the Braves today, to put it in short.
Liking them all the way up to minus 170. Brandon having a little chalk for lunch here. Hey, you don't have to lay the juice if you win the bet there. So I like
correct.
The breakdown there. Tokyo, Brandon, number 1, all profit across all sports last 2 years. Check him out at wt.buzz/TB. Speaking of hot streaks, though, Bryan Power, you're going to get the last word here on the show. Best bet, and you get the last word when you're number 1 in MLB since last year's playoffs, and you're riding a 5-day winning streak of 9-2, running hot. So I'm wondering what you're thinking in this Giants and Mariners game. It looks like we got lefty Tommy Milone getting only his second start on the mound here for the Mariners. 9:05 Eastern time is first pitch, and sounds like, or maybe it looks like you're hoping he gets tagged a little bit early here, Bryan.
Yeah, so in our big game breakdown, we took a look at a series where I think what we've seen so far will continue with the Yankees and Orioles. Here, I'm looking for a reversal of fortune. So the last 2 days, the Giants all-star closer has a terrible 9th inning. Yesterday, Giants had no answer at the plate for Logan Gilbert. So they're looking to avoid a sweep here against the Mariners. They've lost 4 in a row. Overall, have the Giants. That's just one shy. Worst streak. And Seattle, meanwhile, matched their season high game win streak. But despite those respective streaks, you touched on the pitching matchup, Dan. It's difficult to ignore that I think the Giants have the edge early with Cobb against Malone. And on the heels of today's 6-0 final, it's certainly worth noting the Mariners are only 1-5 off a shutout win. The Giants are 6-1 off a shutout loss. And the reason Malone's being recalled is Bryce Miller had a blister, so he's out of the rotation. He just made 1 start so far this year, and it was nearly 3 months ago at home against Colorado. He goes just 4 2/3 innings. He wasn't exactly dominating down on the farm either. 11 starts at Tacoma, 4.47 ERA. I think the Giants get to him. Meanwhile, the Giants, they're 4-0. They went 4-0, I should say, in Cobb starts in the month of June. He posted a 3.32 ERA during that span. He's been arguably their most reliable starter in this rotation. And I think, again, noteworthy, only one of Cobb's last 6 starts has come at home. And in that lone home start, he went 7 2/3 innings, did not allow a run, and that was against a pretty good Baltimore lineup. Baltimore lineup that was hitting better than it is now. And for the season, 1.43 ERA at home for Mr. Cobb. That's in 6 starts. Earlier I mentioned the Giants, they formed very well shutout loss season well. Last 5 times they've dropped these 2 games of a series. They've gone a perfect 5-0 in that 3rd game. If your juice tolerance is high enough, you can lay the price for the full game. But I want to lay the half run in the first 5 innings because I think if the Giants win this game, it's certainly going to be on the back of this starting pitching matchup. So Giants first 5 minus half a run is Wednesday's best bet.
Laying it in the first 5 with the San Francisco Giants. That's my man, Bryan Power. And boys, incredible pace of play here on the show. No pitch clock needed. Done in 30 minutes. I love to see it here on First Pitch. Big thanks to the guys aside me, Bryan Power, Tokyo Brand, Rob Vino. That's going to do it for our edition of First Pitch. So you got some nice info for tonight's baseball card. If you're wondering, hey, how can I cash some tickets on this weekend's John Deere Classic? Just make sure you click the WagerTalk Extra video. It's Andy Lang. It's Nick Borman right here on WagerTalk TV.